He moves frequently around Afghanistan, inspecting his many terror training camps. Then he returns to a place called Tarnak Farms near Kandahar, where he lives with 3 of his 4 wives and several of his children. In some ways, his routine is like that of a businessman with a daily commute.
He'd grab his lunchbox in the morning, go to Kandahar and see how his businesses were doing and talk to the Taliban leaders, and then come home at night.
In the spring of 1998, the CIA plan to snatch bin Laden moves forward with the tacit approval of the White House. May 20th, the CIA runs a full rehearsal with its local allies, Afghan militiamen opposed to bin Laden and the Taliban. The plan is for the militiamen to capture bin Laden and take him to a desert landing zone. From there, the Al-Qaeda leader would be flown out of the country. That very same week, inside a tent in a remote compound in southern Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden tapes an interview with ABC News correspondent John Miller. With the tape rolling, he declares war on the United States.
We do not differentiate between those dressed in military uniforms and civilians. They're all targets in this fatwa.
Before agreeing to the interview, bin Laden insisted on knowing what questions he'll be asked and whether the program would be broadcast in prime time.
It was his coming out party as a terrorist leader. He needed to introduce himself to the United States through an American news medium.
Bin Laden's message is crystal clear. He demands that U.S. troops leave Saudi Arabia, where they have been stationed since the 1991 Gulf War. If not, he threatens more attacks like the 1993 truck bombing of the World Trade Center, masterminded by Pakistani Ramzi Youssef.
We anticipate a black future for America. If the present injustice continues, it will inevitably move the battle to American soil, just as Ramzi Youssef and others have done.
Bin Laden said many things that at the time, I have to say, sounded a little hyperbolic and unlikely. He declared war on the United States. Yeah, you and what army?
At the CIA office in Islamabad, Pakistan, agents are awaiting word from Washington to go ahead with the plan to seize bin Laden. Then, at the last minute, a satellite photo of bin Laden's compound reveals a problem.
There's a story that there was a swing set there. And they said, well, look, there's children there, and we're going to, children will die probably if there's a gunfight, and there inevitably will be one, because there's no way they're going to get in, get bin Laden, and get him out in silence.
American authorities are not prepared to risk that civilians, including children, might be killed. The U.S. scrubs the mission. Nairobi, Kenya, August 7th, 1998. Osama bin Laden makes good on his threats. It's been less than 2 months since his televised declaration of war on the U.S. A bomb-laden truck explodes outside the American embassy, tearing the facade off the building. 5 minutes later, a second blast nearly levels the U.S. embassy in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The twin attacks kill more than 200 people, including 12 Americans. Many of the victims are Muslims. Two weeks later, President Clinton orders retaliation.
Today, I ordered our armed forces to strike at terrorist-related facilities in Afghanistan and Sudan.
The U.S. unleashes scores of Tomahawk cruise missiles against targets in Sudan and Afghanistan, including a pharmaceutical plant in Khartoum, Sudan, that was allegedly producing chemicals used to make nerve gas. Bin Laden now moves ahead with the planes operation. It's part of his strategy to provoke a U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. And An American attack, he predicts, would unite the forces of jihad against the great Satan. A replay of the war with the Soviets. From his cave headquarters in Tora Bora, bin Laden had revealed his grand scheme to the editor of a London-based Arabic newspaper.
He told me that. He said, it is extremely difficult to go and fight the Americans on their own turf. If I succeed to bring them in and fight them in my home ground, I will succeed. I will defeat them.
To execute the planes operation, bin Laden needs trustworthy men who accept radical Islam's glorification of death. Men willing to martyr themselves for the glory of Allah.
Al-Qaeda's attack was to inspire and instigate, to show the way as a trendsetter, as a pioneer.
The Western reaction would certainly arouse the Arab world to anger and probably result in the revival of the fortunes of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan or elsewhere.
Bin Laden is poised to add a chilling new chapter to the history of terrorism.